Hello, this is Mike Hayes and welcome to our video on 5 essential blues progressions you need to know. And these are really important blues progressions. We need to know how to play them on guitar and also how to recognise the sound of these progressions by ear. All the blues progressions will be in the key of F. The chords will be played on the 3rd, 4th and 6th strings of the guitar. All the progressions will be in the 12-bar blues format, and each example will be played twice. Let's jump in with the first progression, which will be a basic 12-bar blues, and this will be the progression that we'll be basing all the other variations on. Here we go. Right then, we're ready to move on to progression number 2. Now at the top of the screen you'll see the progression that we've just played, that's progression number 1, and at the bottom of the screen you'll see progression number 2. And there's just a few variations that we've added. In bar 4, instead of having an F7th as we did in progression number 1, we now have a 2-5. That's the C minor 7 moving to F7. The next variation is at bar 6, where we have a B diminished. And as we've mentioned in a previous video, that if we were to lower any note in a diminished chord by 1 semitone, we would have a dominant 7th chord. And in this instance, if we move the B note back 1 fret of a B diminished chord, we would find that we have a B flat 7 chord. So one of the ways we could think about this B diminished chord is that it's functioning as a B flat 7 flat 9 chord. And now if we have a look from bars 8 through to bar 11, we have a cycle 5 progression. Then in bar 11 we have a 1-4-1 turnaround. Let's have a listen. At the top of the screen we have progression number 2 that we've just played, and down below that we have progression number 3, which essentially is the same as progression number 2 up to and including bar 6. And then from bar 7 through to 10 we're simply creating 2 5s, where in progression number 2 we had a dominant 7th chord, we're simply placing a 2 chord before the dominant 7th. For example, in bar 7 in progression number 2 we had F7, whereas in progression number 3 we have C minor 7 moving to F7. So we've created a 2-5 progression there. And once again, if we compare progression number 2, in bar 8 we have D7, whereas in progression number 3 we have A minor 7 moving to D7. So once more, there's our 2-5 progression. Let's have a listen to blues number 3. On to progression number 4. Now, to get an idea of how this works, we're going to go back to our first progression. So that's the progression number 1 at the top of the screen, and our new progression, progression number 4 at the bottom of the screen. Essentially what we're trying to do is fill in 4 bars. Our target chord is in bar 5, the B flat chord. And what I'm using here is one of the principles of equal divisions of the octave. And that's something we'll be covering in future sessions, but essentially what I'm doing here is moving the chords back one tone at a time. So I'm starting with F 7th, moving it back a tone to E flat 7th, moving it back another tone to D flat 7th, and then moving it back another tone to B 7th. And then what I do is go back one semitone to arrive at the B flat major 7th in bar 5. So it creates a lot of tension in bar 4. For the rest of the progression, I'm creating 2 5s all the way through, and in bars 11 and 12 I'm using a cycle 5 turnaround. Let's have a listen. Over to blues number 5. In this blues progression, I'm using the same principle of our equal divisions of the octave, where I lowered the chords a tone at a time in blues 4. In blues 5, I'm going to raise each chord by a tone. So I'm starting on F 7th, moving it up, raising the pitch by a tone to G 7th, onto bar 3, where I'm raising the pitch by another tone. So now I'm on A7, and onto bar 4, where I'm raising the pitch of the chord by a tone again. And so again I arrive at B 7th in the same way that I arrived at B7 in bar 4 in blues progression number 4. The significance of the B7th is that it's the flattened fifth of F7th. So that's where all the tension comes in. And remember, we're playing a blues in F. And then once again, I arrive at B flat. In this instance, it's B flat major 7. The next interesting feature is bar 6, where I'm using the flattened fifth of B flat, which is E. I'm using that as my target dominant 7th chord. And I'm also putting a 2 before the E7th. So I'm placing a B minor 7th before the E7th, and then I'm getting this 2-5 to lead me to its natural resolution, which is the key of A major. So in bar 7, we have a surprise in that we're arriving at an A major 7th chord. And I'm using the same idea in bar 8. I'm using the flattened fifth of A major, which would be E flat. I'm using that as my target dominant 7th chord. Once more, I'm placing a 2 before the E flat, so I have a B flat minor 7th moving to an E flat 7, and then getting that to resolve to its natural resolution, which would be A flat major, and in this instance I'm using A flat major 7th in bar 9. In bars 11 to 12, I have a cycle progression with a little bit of a twist. In bar 12, instead of playing G7th, I'm using a flat 5 substitution, which would be D flat 7th, and G flat 7th is the flat 5 substitution for C7th. Let's have a listen. Well, that's it for today, folks. I do hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope there's something there that you can use in your own music projects. We'll be covering more subjects like this in future lessons, so don't forget to subscribe and hit the notifications bell. Also, if you enjoy the type of things that we're doing here, we'd appreciate if you hit the like button. It really helps us out. If you have any questions or comments, pop them in the comment section below this video. And as always, I look forward to catching up with you again next time. Bye for now.